boys and girls. I'm Mrs. Budman, and I teach 5th grade over at Eisenhower. And I'm sure I may know maybe some of your brothers and sisters. I have some really wonderful students in 5th grade here in room 219. And I know that you're going to be able to come up to our school to visit. So I'll look forward to seeing you all then when you come up for your visit here at Eisenhower. I always like to see you come through those front doors, and I like to greet you. So I'll look forward to that. Well, one of the stories that I read to my students actually today is called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. Now, if you've ever read the story of the Three Little Pigs, you know about how there are 3 pigs, and they each build their house differently. One does straw, one does sticks. You know what the other one does? Bricks. And yeah, so each one does it differently. And that big bad wolf, he just blows their houses down. Well, we are reading the fairy tale, the true story of 3 Little Pigs. We were reading the true story of the 3 Little Pigs today because we're writing something called a fractured fairy tale. And maybe we'll even get to share our stories with you. I'll have to talk to your teacher. But what we do in 5th grade is we think about an original fairy tale, and then we fracture it or change it. So I read this story to my students because I wanted them to think about what would it be like to actually tell a fairy tale from a different perspective. This story is written from the wolf's perspective. I'm going to go ahead and get started. The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs by Alexander T. Wolf. The True Story of 3 Little Pigs. Everybody knows the story of the 3 Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies, sheep, and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. I'm wondering how many of you like cheeseburgers right now. Look at that cheeseburger. I think I see 2 bunny ears in there. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. I wonder what that terrible sneezing cold might explain. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now the neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, "Little pig, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on while I huffed and I snuffed. And I sneezed a great sneeze. Think about the original version. Was it a big sneeze? And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. Take a look at this picture. Can you find the little pig? Oh, the little curly tail. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger, just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. The neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I rang the bell in the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." You know the original version of what they said? Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. You're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down, just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. What do you think he's going to do with this pig? Let's see. Now you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I ate dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" Do you know what that rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar. He wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear old, sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed, and I snuffed, and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Look at the picture of the pig in that window. I don't know if you can see. He looks pretty angry. Hold it up a little closer to make sure you can see. Ooh, looks a little scary. Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down this pig's door. And the whole time, I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, so they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you can loan me a cup of sugar. I hope you like the story, and I will look forward to seeing you when you come to visit here at Eisenhower. I'm in room 219, up the stairs, so make sure you pop in to say hello. Take care. Bye, second graders.